Churches across the country will be empty again today as clergy live stream services for their socially distanced congregations. Pastor Joel Osteen leads one of the largest megachurches in the country. And last Sunday, he preached to thousands of empty seats, but 4.5 million people watched online.
You're not close to your miracle only when everything is calm and peaceful. Sometimes it's the opposite, when it's chaotic, when you're tempted to panic, live afraid. That means your miracle is on the way.
And Pastor Joel joins us now from his Lakewood Church in Houston. Pastor, there's an awful lot for people to be worried about right now, their physical health, their economic security. So what's your advice as to how to deal with these tough times?
You know, Chris, there is a lot of negativity and reason to worry and be afraid, but I think that's when we have to make that choice to live from a place of peace and not a place of fear. You know, you take it one day at a time. You know, it's just as I've learned it's just as easy to worry as it is to believe that God, you've got me in the palm of your hand, you've got us through in the past, and you'll get us through again.
We talked a couple of years ago, and it's funny because you mentioned the negative conversation that we all have going on in our minds all the time. Am I good enough? Can I handle this? And you say that the way to break through that negative conversation right now is to seek peace, and that peace is a place of power. Explain that.
Yeah, it really is, Chris, because, you know, when you live worried, when you live negative and just, you know, thinking about all that could happen, all that could go wrong, we're drawn into negative. Our life follows our thoughts. And I'm not saying it's easy, and I'm not saying to deny the facts, but I believe when you live from that place of peace, a grateful place, you draw in peace, you draw in your faith, and that's what helps you get through these tough times. Not that, you know, we're denying it all, but you can just choose to live from that place of peace, and that's what gives you the strength and the power to make it through.
You say, and you just mentioned it here, find something to be grateful for, but when you're worried about your health, maybe you've got a relative who's got the virus, when you're worried about your 401k, you see those numbers ticking down all the time. What do you find to be grateful for?
Well, Chris, you got to find something, and I believe we all have some reason. Maybe we do have our health. Well, you know what? We can thank God for what we have, or we have a place to live, or we're in a great country. I just think you have to make that shift that, hey, this is another day that God's given me. It's a gift. I can choose to live it negative, bitter, discouraged, or I can say I'm going to make the most of this day. Maybe I'm going to spend a little more time with my family. I'm going to be, you know, maybe it helps me get things more in perspective. I'm going to find something maybe I wouldn't normally be grateful for, just the fact that I'm alive and healthy, or, you know, something like that, just to start the day off in faith.
Everyone, Pastor Joel, is asking, and I asked Dr. Inglesby this question, how long will this virus last? Can I hang on for another 2 weeks? Might I have to hang on for another 2 months? Because we really don't know how long this is going to go on, this isolation, this lockdown. You say don't be thinking 2 weeks ahead. Don't be thinking 2 months ahead.
I think that's right, Chris, because it is. That can get us all frustrated and worried and depressed, and can we make it? But God gives you grace for every day. His mercy's new every morning. So we don't have grace for tomorrow. So if we're thinking about tomorrow, or can I do this a month or 6 months, it is going to discourage us. But I think you have to get up and say, can I make it through this day with a good attitude, with a smile, being good to somebody else? And you can, because you have the grace for this day. So don't go way out into the future. Well, what if I don't have the money? What if my relatives get sick? Why don't you stay in today, be grateful for today. When you get to tomorrow, you're going to have grace for that day.
You say that one way to deal with the isolation, the fact that we can't hug our family, we can't sit down and have dinner with our friends, is to help someone else. Now, I know that you have a blood drive at your Lakewood Church in Houston, but what can one person sitting at home and not even able to get out of their home necessarily, what can they do to help other people right now?
Yeah, it's more difficult now, Chris, but maybe, you know, a simple thing is picking up the phone and calling a friend and encouraging them. letting the people in your life you love know that you love them. I believe it's the way we were made to be. When we help somebody else get better, God helps us get better. If we'll make their day, God will make our day. And it's easy to live ingrown. Hey, I got my problems, I got this virus, I got worried about my future. But if you'll get outside of yourself and go be a blessing, or at least by your voice, by a phone, send somebody a text, well, that's a seed you're sowing that God can bless you.
Pastor Joel, thank you. Thanks for sharing your wisdom with us at a time when we all need some. And I'm sure you never thought you were going to be in a situation where you were going to be preaching to an absolutely empty church. That probably is your nightmare, sir.
Yeah, it was very unusual to not have any response, and I just had to kind of tune out the empty seats. But we are blessed to have the technology and, see so many turn into their faith.
Pastor, thanks so much.